Hello everybody, you're very welcome to a new On Location from RSA Conference. This is Sean Martin, host of the Redefining Cybersecurity podcast at ITSP Magazine. I get to be here in San Francisco, not just for the sunrise, but for all the cool things that are possible. The theme this year is the art of possible. And another theme that I'm hearing as I talk to folks is that businesses are really trying to figure out how to achieve greater results from the investments they're making in technology and obviously in their security solutions to protect the technologies they're deploying. And I'm thrilled to have Rajiv from Dispersive on with me. Rajiv, good to have you on.
Thanks, Sean. Pleasure to be here.
Yep, good week hopefully for you. Good conversations, I would imagine.
It's been fantastic. Good. Classic RSA, always on.
Yes, always on. Well, here we are. We're going to be on today, and before we get into what some of the things you're seeing with respect to infrastructure, a lot of it critical infrastructure it seems, which we'll get into. A few words about what you're up to and a quick overview of Dispersive just to set the stage.
Sure. So Dispersive is a DARPA-incubated network security company. We have 53 patents granted. We are essentially bringing to the table a new high bar for network security, leveraging concepts of spread spectrum from the radio frequency world towards cloud and internet communications. We call ourselves Dispersive Stealth Networking, and as the name would imply, we allow our customers on the IT side as well as OT side to essentially hide in plain sight, connect their critical systems using the internet or cloud, and at the same time be assured that they can operate with integrity and an adversary cannot determine the source-destination relationships, the traffic pathways, or for that matter, decrypt the data.
Yeah. Perfect. And you didn't say who you were. Your role, I know. I
Yes,
love the company, but it's important to know who's behind this.
Absolutely. So look, thanks for that. So Rajiv Pimplaskar, I'm privileged to be the CEO of Dispersive. My background's 25 years in the space. This is my fourth startup, and spent a fair amount of time in the telecom sector, software-defined everything, and stint in the zero trust industry, primarily on the identity side, and now here I am on the other side of the coin, basically solving the implicit trust problem of networks.
I love it. And it's interesting because there's a lot of buzzword stuff going on, and a lot of business buzzwords as well, not just in the technology space. And my personal opinion is the network kind of gets left behind, it seems, in many cases, in a lot of the conversations, when in fact it's at the core of everything we do, essentially. Right? So what are some of the things you're hearing as you're talking to executives with respect to how they're building new business models, how they're generating revenue through different means, and how the network kind of supports that? And then ultimately I want to get to what some of the challenges are, maybe some of the roadmap or the road bumps or the blockers that they're hitting as they're attempting to do that.
Certainly. So I think there's two dimensions to this. One is the security dimension, right? And it's no secret that nation states have pivoted full force into commercial hacking. We just heard this loud and clear from Secretary Blinken on Monday as part of his RSA Conference keynote address about the unprecedented risks to critical infrastructure sectors, including disruption, supply chain interdiction, eavesdropping, digital surveillance, and all of this now actually shaping U.S. foreign policy, right, which I think is a pretty significant milestone, not just for us as a country, but certainly us as a cybersecurity industry. Gen AI with hyper-automation are top of mind, and they are force magnifiers, both for the good guys as well as the bad ones. And not to mention the ongoing war for quantum supremacy that's currently being waged between the nation states. To your point from earlier, networks are the most vulnerable asset. They're at the center, and they ultimately carry all of our sensitive information.
Go from one place to the other somehow.
Absolutely. On the networking side, we are seeing a fairly significant shift from the SD-WAN world. Now, SD-WANs have been quite popular, getting us off of legacy leased lines and MPLS connections. But in today's cloud-first or cloud-native world, SD-WANs have many challenges, as you know. For starters, connectivity is based on network identifiers, much like our US Postal Service. So if I know where you live, it's a lot easier for me to steal something from you.
Show up, yeah.
Right? So there's no concept of security nor privacy as far as SD-WANs are concerned. The second and the more important business critical one is that they were all born in the physical world, and so they work well towards a more highly centralized hub and spoke type model. In the post-COVID world, where we're contending with a distributed workforce and a cloud-first approach, there's increasingly a need in the CISO and CIO conversations I have around what they call coffee shop networking. So this need to be cloud native, the need to be lightweight, the need to be distributed, no artificial separation between IT, OT, IoT devices for that matter, as well as users, be it remote or on classic endpoints. So this programmable aspect of the network, leveraging alternate transport where available. If my apps are already in the cloud, why not use a cloud native service like a AWS Cloud WAN or a Azure Virtual WAN? If I'm going site to site, why not leverage something like an Equinix or a Megaport, and then secure by design.
Yep. So, a lot of stuff there, a lot to dig into. I want to bring it to where, so you mentioned, and I've heard this quite a bit as well, that CIO and CISO collaborating much more closely to enable business. What are some of the challenges they're facing? So maybe a use case of we're shifting from this type of environment to another. And we talked briefly before we started recording about a lot of the OT space as well and the convergence there too. So maybe a couple of use cases of some transformation or even just upgrades to existing infrastructure and the challenges they're facing to meet the needs of those new working environments.
Certainly, and that's a great question. So in the industry, we affectionately call it the two-buyer problem, right? Which is an enterprise has a security buyer and a network infrastructure buyer, and oftentimes they're separate sources of funding, separate MBOs for the organization. To your point, we are seeing that they are increasingly coming together, particularly around certain strategic transformation efforts. Two that I can think of, one on the IT side is really that cloud transformation, that digital transformation, call it SD-WAN transformation, where they are looking to modernize connectivity to their branches, to their remote sites, to their users. And as part of that, they want to leverage modern concept of zero trust in the equation. And so what we have seen is certainly there's a lot of efficiency and value in a single vendor type SASE solution. However, what the more savvy and the innovative customers are looking for is a strong partner who can stitch together the best of breed solutions, still giving them a single throat to choke, so to speak, or a single back to pat, depending on your analogy, right? And be able to consume it. And as part of that, as I mentioned, a core principle is keep site-to-site traffic on something like a XPaaS, as Gartner calls it, alternative transport, keep cloud traffic on cloud, and then use a edge to cloud or edge to fabric type solution to provide resiliency of the first mile, last mile, and then a SSE sort of capability for the rest of your security stack.
Where do things on this case? Where do things fall short with traditional network communications? I'm thinking performance might be an issue, access control, identity, and being able to sniff traffic and look at the two endpoints to find a way and to hop onto the communication. Maybe those and others. Can you describe some of that?
It's all of the above. I think the performance is unfortunately sort of the untold story here, right? Most security solutions do add a performance overhead, and the user has to bear the brunt, and that's part of where the resistance or the noise, as we call it, comes from. So a solution that enhances performance or keeps it same is always going to be advantageous for all stakeholders. The other bit is resiliency. I think the expectation is that these solutions reliable out of the box. But in reality, it's very hard to assure resiliency for the first mile, for the last mile. And again, the need for that extra level of reliability for a service provider to be able to offer a legitimate SLA, for that matter, or for the customer to have comfort that their solution is always going to be alive and kicking regardless of environmental conditions. Those are some of the key friction points that we see.
Got it. So now you're going to give a second case, I presume OT?
Yes, so on the OT side, we are seeing a lot of private 5G projects, particularly within manufacturing, within energy. Sustainable infrastructure is a big push. So instead of highly concentrated and centralized systems, kind of creating more distributed, smaller versions that allow you to be sustainable and scale globally at a much lower total cost of ownership. That's a key business model.
Private cell towers, effectively, to control
correct
manufacturing systems and monitor sensors in the field and stuff like that?
Precisely. So it could be a combination of private and public. In the US, we are fortunate because we have access to CBRS. We have access to a lot of modern solutions from some of the top vendors around private 5G. And the use cases could be anything from digital twin to autonomous vehicles to worker safety to enhance business analytics around capturing data, to your point, from sensors. And again, one of the core elements there is to keep that traffic secure, to keep it private, to keep it efficient. A lot of these edges still need to talk to the cloud, and that edge to cloud, or even from the radio area network to the edge and radio area network to the cloud, communication cannot have latency, and it needs a high level of security. So those are some key use cases where we've been involved.
And you cover the end-to-end.
We do.
Which is fairly unique, I'd say.
That's correct. Thank you. And that's one of the things that we pride ourselves on, is we're really edge agnostic. It can be a human, it could be a machine, it could be a cloud instance, it could be an actual site, or it could be a service provider edge. It doesn't really matter to us.
Nice. That's fantastic. Can you describe some good couple use cases broadly there? And you kind of touched on some of the sectors. Do you have any stories to share from customers where the outcome can be realized by others? So maybe a story that says we're able to move from this traditional IT infrastructure to one that uses Dispersive, and we got X out of it.
Yeah, it's a good question. So I can cite two of our great customers. One is Ovzon. They're a Swedish satellite as a service company. They do a lot of work for US DoD, NATO, European Union, a lot of work for the good guys in Europe. And they have a best-in-class new satellite offering. They launched their own satellite early this year. So we're helping them with providing obfuscation and security across all their teleport locations, their ground stations, and also providing out-of-band management across shared medium to their authorized personnel worldwide. And the nature of the relationship is very collaborative. We're looking to do more with them on their end customers in months and years to come.
So describe as best you can, without sharing too much, kind of the different legs, because there's the ground station, there's the satellite communications between those, then there's the networking within the ground station. I presume there's some remote access, right? Because that's the world we live in. So can you describe some of those legs?
Sure. At the core of it, there is really three sets of use cases here. One is the site-to-site use case, which we call gateway-to-gateway, and Dispersive can provision a hardware-based or a software-based gateway, either in the cloud or on-prem. And so that gateway-to-gateway is one form of communication. The other is the user-to-gateway communication, and that's, to your point, a more classic remote access type enhancement. And that's for their management personnel to be able to get into the various locations, the various OT, IT assets that they need to connect to. And then the third scenario is really that secure internet access kind of a use case where we have the ability to connect our gateway into what we call an all services gateway mode, which is essentially a web access gateway.
Okay. What, is there anything sitting on the satellite?
I cannot confirm or deny that.
Right. You got another case. What's that one about?
Yes, the other one I would love to talk about is one of our top customers, Endeavor Energy. So they're a new sustainable infrastructure company. They're in multiple businesses, very agile, innovative company. They're doing great work with edge data centers, with water stations, with power grid type applications. And we have had a strategic collaboration with them for quite some time. And so they have decided to standardize on us as the core underlay platform for all of their in-house and customer-facing networking. And so as part of this, we are able to essentially provide a secure by design network infrastructure to connect their data centers across EMEA as well as North America, as well as provide access to various edge and personnel services.
So, Rajiv, describe to me some of the conversations you have. I mean, because this can be, my guess is the reason people don't talk about it too much is because the infrastructure stays as consistent as possible because it's hard to change it because it disrupts everything else. So how do you work with your customers to help them through that transition of what are the requirements, how do we architect it, how do we design it, how do we plan it? You mentioned resilience. How do we do that without too much disruption and achieve the ultimate goal that we're trying to get to?
Yeah, so that's always the most important aspect, right? That's where the proverbial rubber meets the road.
Right.
The beauty of our solution is it's a SaaS offering. So you, as a customer, you don't need to worry too much about the magic that's going on as part of that architecture that we have. You can connect into us simply with gateways and with clients, and we do the rest. We do the service provisioning. We handle white glove service for our customers. We also love to work with partners, so our go-to-market is heavily partner-driven. We work with some of the top systems integrators and service providers who have the customer intimacy across the sectors that we are interested in. Typically, we tend to go after the center of three intersecting circles, a security-conscious industry or segment, ideally regulated as well. The other being where there's a distributed set of assets that they're looking to secure, be it IT, OT, and again recognizing that when you go from IT to OT, the problem scale has shifted from human to machine to machine.
Yeah.
It's a whole different ball game. And then the third is the need for some sort of a transformation. So either on the OT side or on the IT side.
Right. That's where you mentioned digital twins. A lot of that happening, I think. As well.
Absolutely.
Well, gee, this has been fantastic. I can see we can probably sit here for hours talking about use cases and different scenarios. Anything you want to close with as a final thought for folks? Speak to the CISO, speak to the OT administrative team. What do you want them to know?
Yeah, so what I'll say is that there's definitely light at the end of the tunnel. As you know, zero trust is a principle. It is natural and in fact healthy for evolution to occur in the pursuit of a high bar. And so in this vein, the industry has moved from a perimeter-based model, which is akin to a high wall, to now much more of a smaller attack surface, i.e. today's paradigm of zero trust, to now further moving towards what Gartner is calling automated moving target defense, which is that this attack surface is ephemeral or constantly moving. And the whole concept is based on military technology. How do you defend against a sniper attack? So using principles of concealment, using principles of always presenting a moving target, use of deception. And this is where we can come in and help with bolstering your vulnerable or critical assets and resources, and helping you with getting past that traditional detect and response paradigm to essentially prevention being better than cure using dispersive stealth networking.
Perfect. So protecting the onboard and offboard of the data and the pipe that's running through.
Absolutely.
Love it. Rajiv, it's fantastic chatting with you, and I hope folks got some insight into what's possible with dispersive. Lots of transformation. You may as well secure it while you're architecting it.
Thanks, Sean. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you, and thanks everybody for joining me for this story on ITSP Magazine. And thanks for staying tuned to ITSP as we continue to cover RSA Conference. Thanks everybody. Thanks, Rajiv.
We hope you enjoyed this episode and that you will come back for more brand stories on ITSP Magazine. If you want to share your company's brand story, go to itspmagazine.com and explore our advertising options to learn more. Remember to share this podcast with your friends, family, and colleagues, and stay tuned for more brand stories as we continue our journey toward redefining cybersecurity, technology, and society.